Sorry to interrupt. If I could ask everybody to come towards this end. We've only planned a 6-hour and 12-minute program. Great. Let me turn it over to J.J. Johnson, who's Chairman of the Center for Capital Markets Competitiveness, Executive Vice President of the FMR Group. J.J.?
Something we want to celebrate, right? All right. As many of you know, it is, trust me. If you haven't read it, when you read it, you will want to celebrate. As many of you know, the CCMC released this plan just this past Monday, and during this week has hosted a series of stakeholder roundtables to discuss the ideas put forth within it. The next administration, whoever it might be, must focus on revitalizing the American economy, and we believe the Chamber's action plan is a roadmap to action in that regard. The plan has more than 100 recommendations, and it's designed to revitalize our capital markets and give both Main Street businesses the resources they need to grow and America the ability to compete in the global economy. Many of the recommendations have been the topic of debate on Capitol Hill all the way back to the passage of the Dodd-Frank Act, but some really haven't been discussed yet. For example, issues like determining how best to restructure our financial regulatory system, or conducting a study to determine the cumulative impact of current regulations on the books. Those are all important, but they've been debated topics already. We still think they're important. Others, like reviewing the role of fintech or enhancing capital formation, are newer and require additional attention. We're really grateful to have all of you here with us tonight. You're all thoughtful policy leaders, and we value your views and your involvement with this effort. I'd now like to turn to introduce our guest, Arkansas Congressman French Hill. Congressman Hill was elected in 2014 and serves on the House Financial Services Committee. Prior to his congressional service, Congressman Hill was founder, chairman, and CEO of Delta Trust and Banking Corporation, headquartered in Little Rock, Arkansas, before that was merged with Simmons First National Corporation. Congressman Hill also served as a senior official in the administration of President George H.W. Bush. He was Deputy Assistant Secretary of the Treasury for Corporate Finance and Executive Secretary in the President's Economic Policy Council. He was also awarded a Distinguished Service Award by U.S. Secretary of the Treasury Nicholas Brady. Please join me in welcoming Congressman French Hill.
Terrific to be here. I can see that everyone here is a Baptist because they're all in the back of the room. The lamb chops are fantastic. Take advantage of those. Thank you, the Chamber, very much for hosting this event. And JJ, thanks for that. And Tom, thanks for the invitation as well. It's great to be with you and reflect a little bit about the outlook for the next administration and the work that the Chamber's prepared as we think about creating a more competitive capital market system. You know, it's fantastic. I've got a almost 20-year-old and I have a 17-year-old. And not in my wildest dreams could I imagine that my 20-year-old knows all the words of Hamilton. I could have begged her to read Ron's book. I could have told her about how many times I've walked past Alexander Hamilton's house on Nevis or at St. Croix, or the great story of how he got to America, and it would have all gone in one ear and out the other. But thanks to the brilliance of the writers and producers of Hamilton, we have a whole new generation that can appreciate one of the great founding fathers. And two of Alexander Hamilton's most important contributions to our nation's early days are, one, he argued that banking was critical. He said that our banks are the nurseries of our national wealth. And meaning that we can't really have a functioning society without that sort of fair, honest, ethical disintermediation of savings to investment. And then, surely by his own will, he created our first capital market, the market for government securities, where he said that it would be a national blessing for us to have a functioning debt market in this country. And of course, he took and led the controversial decision to assume the debts of the colonies and the Continental Army and all of its expenses. And we have built the extraordinary financial engine of the world here in the United States over the last 240 years. So my hat's off to Hamilton and the impact on our society today and the interest of young people in American history and the fact that he's left us with this national blessing that we're supposed to be currently the modest temporary stewards of in the Congress and in the executive branch. And in that regard, that's where your work comes into play. And we've talked a lot about the national treasures that make America competitive, and the Chamber's been at the forefront of that for years. We talk about our flexible labor force. We talk about our unlimited natural resources of continental power of the U.S. We talk about the extraordinary universities that we have here and the research that they do. But we fail sometimes to say that another one of our national treasures, one of the biggest legacies that we have, are that banking and capital market system that Hamilton was essential to its formation, and that it is a national legacy that gives us a global competitive advantage. And instead of derising it and offering its destruction through poorly crafted legislative or regulatory proposals, we need it revered and reformed. And that's really what this effort that you all are all a part of have at your heart. And in the House Financial Services Committee, I think we get it. And I think we've put a lot of time and effort, certainly in the 6 years of Dodd-Frank, to assessing the intended and unintended consequences on the economy, consumers, business of Dodd-Frank. And that's led to last week marking up the Choice Act in the House Financial Services Committee, which strikes at the heart of all the lessons we've learned over the past 6 years of where, in our judgment, House Republicans' judgment, Congress got it wrong in Dodd-Frank. And we've tried to remedy that through the Choice Act. Likewise, in capital markets, we've had some victories over the Obama term, the Jobs Act, the continued interest in the Congress of even doing more in Jobs 2.0, and you addressed that thoroughly in the work that you've done. But that is a bipartisan stepping off point for the next administration, is assessing what we've done in the past and what can we do in that arena. But it leaves the big undone work, and that's where the SEC and the CFTC are still living in the 1930s. And the world has moved on. And we are not as competitive as we would like to be, or as Alexander Hamilton would have us be, in this capital market arena. And so my hope is that because of the work you've done, that in the next Congress, we can really do some hard work with the new administration and their appointees at the SEC and the CFTC to reflect markets and market conditions and technology and investor outlooks as they are and not as they were or as we'd like them to be. It's been expressed, that we really are, we've gone from paper in the 33 and 34 Act, and then we went to the telephone, and we've gone to a Munifax machine, and we've gone to the computer, and we've gone to the internet. But again, we are eclipsing the ability of those rules to really work with today's market. So your suggestion that we go and look at market conditions and market regulatory system that we need for the future, I think is essential and something I can fully embrace. As a former guy who ran a brokerage company and a bank, I can tell you we have this obligation under the national market system, obviously, to confirm to our customers at the close of every day that we got you best price. And I'd argue, how do I know? So I think that speaks to itself in the equity market structure that we have work to do. So I just want to say thank you for all your efforts, and certainly my small part in Congress on Capitol Hill in the House Financial Services Committee. I will do my best to live up to Hamilton's goal of having banks as the nurseries of our national wealth and a capital market system that is in fact a national blessing. And thanks for letting me come by and say hi.
Congressman, really appreciate your remarks, and thank you for being here tonight. For all of you, please be sure to pick up a copy of the report on your way out. I think you'll find it to be filled with recommendations that hopefully you can support and advocate for. Enjoy your evening. There's good food and drinks here, so I hope you get to enjoy your time here tonight. Thank you very much.